So basically, man, to us, Growthology is the science of growth. The concept is basically rooted in how in the hell can four guys be better than they were yesterday. We all are engaged in this thing called life, and every day, we're working to be better than we were yesterday, right? Some of us have goals of being great entrepreneurs, great in real estate, business, finance, barbering, but we all have learned things in our past, and our goal right now is basically to share insights on how we ultimately became who we are today, and also share insights on what are the things that we're doing today to help us basically become who we're trying to become in the future. Hey, what's going on, Growth family? I want to welcome you guys to episode 3 of Growthology. As you know, it's me, Rashad Grimes. We have Q, and we have brother bro Taylor. One of the things that we want to kind of talk about in regard to this episode is development of self, right? And we say development of self, we're talking about your overall self-improvement. And I think a lot of times when people think about, just success, we focus a lot on outward success. And a lot of times I think as people continue to navigate throughout their lives, they get to a point to where they really understand that inward success supersedes outward success. And what I mean by inward success, I'm talking about 3 foundational things. And these are just things that I've came up with that I believe are core values that I believe ultimately tie everything into, what a person ultimately wants to do in life. And those 3 things are the mental, the physical, and the spiritual, right? So when we talk about mental, we're talking about, one having the ability to be at peace, one having the ability to think clearly, one having the ability to be able to use their mind to bring things into fruition, right? And when we talk about the physical, we're talking about health, right? And health encompasses one's being able to eat healthy, working out, knowing about the proper nutrition, because as we all know, if your health is not right, money is nothing, right? And then we get to talking about something that is extremely valuable, which is the spiritual. When we talk about spiritual, I'm not necessarily talking about one specific religious belief. I'm talking about the way in which one understands that his or her abilities to move through our life, is really superseded by something outside of them, right? So I think regardless of one's income, regardless of one's knowledge, human beings get to a point to where they realize that a human being is really just a small thing in a matter of something way bigger than his or herself, right? So those are the 3 main things that we're going to focus on. And as we move forward, we're going to talk about, ultimately how all 3 of these things come together to make one 100% better in regard to self-development. So with that being said, family, I want to pose a question to the team. In regard to inward success versus outward success, all right? Why do you think most people focus on outward success versus inward success in their lives?
I'm gonna go with when it comes to outward, I think most people focus on like outward success because it's physical. You can see it, you can touch it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of affiliated with followers, salaries, milestones, things in that nature. A lot of people commit with more on the outward to success. The inner is the things that's like unshareable when it comes to like, healing, trauma, pain, inner,
the intangibles,
things in that,
the intangibles, right?
Things that like you can't see, but they're everything, if that makes sense.
Right, the most essential, right? Like, can't see air, but we all drop dead.
Yeah.
If it stop moving. What about you, Q?
I think everybody's visual. I think social media have a lot to play into it just because that's what you can see, that's what you can feel, right? But a lot of folks don't know how the person got it, right? So we all have met people where it's like you met yourself with a person. You already know that, okay, we got the same mindset. So it's nothing you need to even talk about. Even if they don't have the things that you want them to have as far as like externally or outside of the body. But it's just a lot of people just see just things from an outside lens. They don't really understand how you got where you got, like what you were shy. A lot of times when I first met you, I was like, he got this, he got the suit, he got the blue Porsche at the time. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I'm telling you, when he pulled up, I'm gonna tell you the whole story another day. Yes, when he pulled up. But I seen that, right? But when I started getting around Rashad, I started realizing like, oh, okay, he reading. oh, we sitting up here laughing. He really trying to listen to the audio book. He getting mad at us for talking, like during the meetings at Dippy, right? There's things that a lot of folks don't know, but like that Dippy situation really showed me that Q, you can have everything on the outside, but who are you on the inside?
Right.
Right? Like you can sit here and I can show you from what I got on, but when it's time to talk, what's gonna come out? You know what I'm saying? Like it look good, but when it's time to really perform, who's gonna perform? So I think a lot of folks just don't understand that it takes mentally, that takes the first thing. When anything in success, it starts with what you do mentally first, right? You can have everything, but when it's time to really put it in action, who's gonna be there? Right? We could sit up here and try to plan things out and talk about it, but when it's time for action, it goes back to mentally. How we get up at 4:30, that's mental. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting back home. Y'all know I get back home from the Legion around 1:30. I don't want to get up, but I know y'all holding me accountable, so that's mental. I'm up at 4:30, walking, running. Sometimes I'm late. You know, I'm running all the way down. So that just is one of the things what I see that as far as people just understand, but they see you, but don't know what you think, don't know what you go through. Like
Gotcha.
you meet a person, and whenever somebody meet me, I know I'm a blood passion because you don't know what I've been through. I'm gonna beat you mentally first,
Right.
not physically.
Yeah.
Now, everything else is going to follow after the mental, but mentally is the first thing I'm going to beat you at.
No, I agree with both of you guys. I think both of you guys' takes on that were extremely thorough. And I think it points to the fact that, you know, a lot of people really don't understand that when most things get to where they are, it's not by accident, right? It's not by coincidence. Things, you know, take a gradual step every time, you know, in regard to building, right? So when something, you know, even this building that we're in right now, you know, it's brick by brick, right? And then foundation and things like that. Unfortunately, I think in regard to the specific question, why do most people focus on outward success versus inward success? I think my two takes on it would be a combination of both of you guys. But I think number one, outward success is sexy. Right. So what I mean by that is, you know, let's just say you go back to when I had a Porsche, right? Average person, when they see something, they automatically want to know, like, hey, how can I get it? They're not looking at, like, you know, going back to like the Three Little Pigs. I hate to use this colloquialism or this joke, right? But it's like, you know, the whole story is really about, you know, building a strong foundation, right? And that's a spiritual thing. But a lot of times we can get something, but we don't understand if you don't have the proper foundation to maintain it, it's nothing. You'll lose it the next day, right? So I think, you know, going back to like, you know, having followers on social media, look in a certain way. We stay in a generation right now, which is called a microwave generation. Everybody wants something right now, right? So I just cut my hair. I had waves all around my head. Well, guess what? Now I got to start back from the basics. I can go to the beauty supply store, get some fake, whatever the people be doing on them barbershop posts. They be putting the stuff on the people's head. Then they put the mousse on her. They put the wave. I'm like, buddy got waves in 30 seconds.
Love it, all right. You good?
It's just over with, right? Same thing with, we just seen K. Michelle talking about, you know, her not wanting to go to the gym, you know, and, you know, basically, why would I go to the gym? I got the money. I think the reason why people choose is because it looks so great. It looks so appealing. However, when you pull the curtains back, you be like, damn, this ain't what I'm about. Right? So it's like you see somebody trying to buy a car, and you buy a car, you pull up, you didn't send the money through Zelle, you pull off. No, you can't even pull off because you didn't even lift the hood up. Right. So I think, you know, we got to apply that into life. It's like, number one, you can't go off with parents, right? Lift the hood up, pull it back. Is the foundation good? And that applies to anything, right? Your education, you know, the friendships, relationships, the foundation is key, right? And that goes back into that inward. And I think, you know, ultimately the second thing is, unfortunately, man, for me, I think it's ignorance. You really can't fault some people because they really just don't know, right? So if you see somebody, you know, you see somebody with a certain net worth, one would easily say, hey, that person got there because, you know, their family members are rich, or that person got there because they look this way, or X, Y, and Z. Well, once you attempt, or basketball, I haven't played basketball in years, right? True story. I go out here the other day, you know, I hoop with my son 5, right? With the neighborhood kids. I'm out there playing horse. I'm outside hooping. I think I got a decent little game. We go running the other day over here in Ainsley, Harrison Park, and me and Q decided to play horse. I'm like,
let me stop there. He tried to play one-on-one, and I was like, this is play horse.
Yeah, he really helped me out. He really helped me out because I was trying to do one-on-one. I know I can at least put up about 10. Glad I didn't do one-on-one. So we go get the playing horse. First shot go in. I'm like, easy. He missed. He got the 8. That boy said, hold on, bro. That boy did some Michael Jordan. That boy went down to tighten down strings up. That boy did something.
Had to hit the pump.
That boy stretched. That boy hit the shank. You know, hit the pump.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on. That boy did something, put the keys down. Drop him. That goes back to foundation. Q been playing basketball since 2 years old. He can put the basketball down for a year. Me playing in the basketball in the yard with kids, ages 5 to 13, buddy, you're not about to get there. You can put the clippers down right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And if a person think they're gonna put the clippers up and beat 5 or 10 years worth of experience, they're not gonna get there. So ultimately, man, those are the things that I think ultimately lead to why people focus on outward success versus inward success. And after we take this commercial break, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about, some of the most important aspects of self-improvement to help one advance throughout their lives. We'll be right back, y'all. All right, welcome back, Growth family. Before we went on a commercial break, we were pretty much just talking about, why is it that some people focus on the outward success versus the inward success? And one of the next questions I kind of want to lead with is, if you guys don't mind sharing your personal experiences in regards to the physical, the mental, or the spiritual, right? You guys can talk about all three, or if you guys just kind of want to pick or stick with one particular segment. At what point in you guys' lives did you notice, like, hey, I need to start doing some, real deep reflection on inward self and not just be focusing on the outward, right? At what point in you guys' life did you, and it could be a specific, moment or whatever, but at what moment in you guys' life did you guys really understand that, like, hey, whatever I'm doing right now, this not working in this particular area. I need to do the work, right? I need to do the knowledge. So what point, for you guys, anyone of you guys can go first? I can go.
I'll go. I think my first time was when, I'm 29, probably like 6 years ago. Okay. Mr. Herbert Bevel, he's a big real estate investor in the state of Alabama. Okay. But he mentored me for like a good 2 summers. Mm-hmm. And what I quickly realized, like what I always tell people, get around your mentors because it's going to show you quickly on what you're not doing. Right. So when I was
real quick, I just want to say this. I think a lot of people, this refers to like self-help. A lot of people talk about mentors. Okay. Right. A lot of people talk about mentorship, but don't lose your thought. But at what point did you realize in your life, like, hey, I need a mentor? And how did you even know how to identify a mentor? Because everybody has different philosophies and everybody wants to be a mentor, has a mentor.
I think
walk us through that.
For me in my life, my mom always had like connections to the right people. Mm-hmm. So she's always pointing me in the right direction and kind of giving me the power to choose it or not.
Right.
Right. So we all know like people that we choose to become or become a mentee to, you may see like, okay, I don't really need that. We're basically doing the same thing. Or you may see a guy like Mr. Herb where he's doing way more than me and all I can do is listen. So
when you saw something in that person and said, hey, that's an attribute or something I would like to learn, and that would make you gravitate towards it.
It's like you hear about a person, but until you actually see it, you understand it. And then you also realize what you're not doing. So I think a lot of folks, we be so locked in. Like I always tell my friend Cam, like, we always be so locked in. So it's like, forget the world. I ain't talking to y'all, forget the world. Right. But in that same time, you could not be doing anything. You could just be thinking you're doing something. But when you get around your mentor, you quickly see, oh, this man listens to music while he drives. I listen to all type of music when I'm driving. Oh, he reads
30 pages?
He reads 100 pages a day.
Right.
I only read a chapter. So it changes your perspective. So just being with him during those 2 summers, I quickly seen how he got to where he got. He was just so focused. He's very intentional about what he's doing, right? So like for me, it's like I was focused a little bit, but I was playing with it. Like, hey, I like this for an hour or 2. I'm about to go play the hop on the game with my friends, right?
And but in regard to that, like, just to have a little pushback, everything is relative, right? So just because this person read 100 books, you may not need to do that. You may be so smart. Like this person, because you read fast or you take knowledge in, he may read 100 pages because he may not be able to read another page just until 2 weeks, right? So I'm not saying that he was wrong or not saying that he's not right. I'm saying there are some people, they literally will copy somebody's framework or try to adjust their life to somebody's framework because they think they're going to get the same result. And that's not the case. But you can be inspired by one's work ethic or something they do. So in regard to that, how did that person specifically, like what was going on in your life wrong or what results weren't you getting that say, hey, what this guy's doing is working. what can I take from what this guy's doing to apply it to my life?
At the time, I really didn't have no program.
Okay.
Right. So
No system.
just watching him is like, okay, let me try this and see how I kind of start moving. So I started kind of not listening to music when I was driving, just being intentional what my attention was on. So if I want to be a real estate investor, that means I got to stop watching Power. I got to stop watching Shark Tank right now. I got to watch these shows on YouTube or on like House Hunters. I got to watch that to kind
Your
of.
habits are aligning with what you say you want to do.
So I think we always say what we want to do, but your whole life is not aligning to your goals.
Gotcha.
At all. It sound good. Like it sounds sexy at the time to a girl or a person to where they don't know you. Right. But you got to take yourself to sleep. Yeah. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You can lie to everybody else, but like at the end of the day, that's who you are. We can sit up here and talk all day, but when we go home, that's who we are. So it's like when you're realistic with yourself on what you want to be, you have to align yourself. So just kind of being around him and just seeing how he got to where he got and how quick he think, I was like, man, I'm not nowhere near where I need to be. Even though he's older than me, but I'm a competitive person. I'm like, okay, if he's doing that, why can't I do it? Right?
Gotcha. What about you? Right.
For me, I know like earlier when we was talking about like looking at things that people possess that might inspire you. I know for me, being fresh out of high school, I went straight to work. Like I got in college, but then I dropped out and I was like, man, I was ready to work, make some money or whatnot. I was trying to buy my first car or whatnot. So I remember like, my thing, I wanted a car, but I wanted the type of car that I seen like my older friends in the neighborhood were driving. They were driving nice cars, fresh paint, rims on it and stuff. So I went to work, Chevy, Crown, Vic, back then, everybody wanted a Merc.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I went to work and I saved up some money, but the money I had saved up wasn't enough to get the kind of car that I was seeing people drive. So, I kind of rebelled against working. I'm not going to even lie. Like, I kind of like started like running with the older crowd, hustling. And then I got the car I finally wanted. But the thing, it felt good at the time and all that. I remember one time I was leaving work and, I got pulled over. Long story short, I had had a little drugs in the car, got incarcerated. And, that's when I noticed like, man, this ain't for me. Like being in that environment, that hostile environment where just people talking all the time, it's noisy. You can't just lay down and rest when you want to. You just can't step outside, get no fresh air. That environment kind of changed. It had like a mental shift. Like it kind of kicked in, like how I viewed everything. And I noticed like, when you work for something or when you get things that you don't work for, they don't last long. And so I kind of felt hollow when I was incarcerated. So when I got out, I was like, man, I need to, figure this out because this is not the way. And, that's when I got this phrase that I always be saying like to my little cousins and my friends and stuff like, man, if you want something, you gotta put the work in, you gotta stay in the gym. So when I say that, staying in the gym is like doing that work that don't nobody see. Like, how are you working on yourself to like be able to bring this manifestation into
existence?
Yeah. And so, that went back to a lot of analyzing and, really criticizing myself. Like,
Self-analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to figure out like what I don't like about myself, what I need to improve on to be able to get to the level where I can have those nice things. And the difference is this time can't nobody take it from me. So that's when I really started thinking like, what can I do like to do for myself? And that's how barbering even came to the picture. I'm a barber now, but before then I never had the vision of being a barber. It just really came from what can I do for myself and nobody can take it from me. So, man, just like I tell my friends, I got in the gym, got to studying, doing a little research, watching tutorials, started reaching out to my childhood barber and I asked him, man, how you get your license? How you get your shop? It was like, back before 2012, you can get grandfathered in. What that means pretty much is like you can be an apprentice up under a barber, and in the state of Alabama, within a certain hours, you can just apply for an application. You pay the fee and you get your license. After 2012, they changed the law where you have to go to school. And you have to, in the state of Alabama, is, I think 1,200 hours, 1,500 hours.
Okay. Ooh, okay. So you got in right in time.
Yeah. So I got in, you know, well, really it was a little too late. I had to go to school. That's what I was saying. Like
Okay.
if I would have went earlier,
So you didn't catch the wave before the education.
right? I ain't kissed it. If I would have went straight out of high school, I could have got grandfathered in. But
Okay.
by me, you know, 2017, 18, when I decided to take it serious and get in school, you know, I had to do it the right way.
Gotcha.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, with you going back to school for those 1,500 hours, do you think you would have been better if you didn't do it, or you did do it? How you did it?
Yeah, I would have been, you know, going to school and all that, just because now, you know, I'm being around, it's the environment too. I'm being around like motivated people who like, they got a passion for it. And that's how I grew to build my passion for barbering. I'm like, man, this guy, like, he buying the right clippers, he investing in, and he spending time on, hey, bro, you watch this video? Like, nah, I ain't watching videos. Like, bro, you gotta watch this video. That type of stuff. Hair shows, barber shows, traveling, and then I really got the experience in the lifestyle of
All this stuff was pointing ultimately how you got to where you are. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a real quick commercial break, and then when we come back, I'm gonna dive into, you know, what was that real shift for me in regard to helping me focus on the inner development versus the outward development. I'll see you guys in a quick second. We out. All right, welcome back, Grow family. Before we left, you know, I was pretty much telling you guys I was about to go into, you know, what point in my life did I realize that, you know, I really need to start focusing on the inner development versus the outward development. And for me, I'm not gonna lie, if you guys ever met my father is like furious off Boys in the Hood. My father is a real loquacious man, real talkative. He's a real intellectual as well, right? So like me, I grew up with both of my parents in the household, so that there were like a lot of things that it was like a standard. Like, so reading, you know, going to work, just confidence. Like I will say for my father, man, just having a strong amount of confidence. Like those are things that he beat in us. So what I'm saying is, for the early aspect of my life was for the most part easy for me. Like school, I really kind of did school to the best of how I wanted to do. Like I really didn't even take school serious until I probably got to law school, because I was always one of those cats who could like study 1 to 2 days before, bare minimum, right? It's something that I get to later when I found out that bare minimum doesn't work, right? But when I'm shaping this question around is, I think, you know, ultimately for me, I think at different stages of your life, a different version of yourself is required, right? So the version that Rashad was early on in life, that version allowed me to experience a certain amount of success all the way through high school, all the way through college, even through law school. The moment I necessarily realized I had to change was I read this book by James Allen, and it goes back to As a Man Thinketh, right? And the coldest line is, you know, you literally are a result of your thoughts. Literally. So it may not be like an immediate effect, right? But if you look at how a person dresses, what a person eats, it literally is in alignment with their thought process somehow, some way, right? Even to the environment that a person is living in. The moment your thought process no longer aligns with how you are currently living or what you currently desire, eventually that environment is going to force you to move, right? So like your thoughts is 100%, even us being where we are right now, our thoughts ultimately bring us here, right? So I'm saying it for me because I grew up shining shoes, you know, as a kid. My father had like 3 or 4 shoe shine parlors. So in the summertime, we used to go to like Best Stave in Mountain Brook. And this is like 1 or 2 o'clock. My daddy dropping shoes off. And this is the first time I'm noticing like people in Bentley trucks, Rolls Royces, and it's like 11 o'clock. It's 10 a.m. Why y'all not at work?
Yeah.
In the hood, everybody mama gone 7, 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. It's a woman out here reading the newspaper. You know, it's people out here by the pool. They playing with the dog. Her and the friend are having lemonade. And I get to asking questions and, you know, get to reading the Raw report, get to reading Esquire. You get to understanding like, oh, and this man, one of these people, I forgot his name. I think he's a football player. He played for Green Bay. His name was Brett Starr or something like that. He was a Bart Starr. He played for Green Bay or something. He had a mansion in Mount Brook. And I was like 7 years old, bro. And this man said, I literally asked him in front of my dad. I was like, Dad. I was like, no, Mr. Starr, how did you get this house? Like, how did you be able to afford all this? And he said, remember this, Rashad, you get paid in proportion to the value that you add to society. Once again, the amount of money that you make is in proportion to the value that you add to society. So at that point, I went back and I was like, how can you add more value to society, right? And this is when I say my life really didn't start to 27, because from the age of 5 to 27, I was in school. I didn't have to pay no bills for the most part, financial aid, right? I'm not really living until I graduated law school, and now I got a wife and now I got kids. So now I gotta like work, right? And this is when Dippy started. And at that moment, this is when I was like, okay, well, that's when I kind of started this whole thought process. Like, all right, well, if you a barber, you got different levels of barber. You got barbers who cut hair at $20, $50. You even got celebrity barbers, right? Well, you know who make the most money in regard to barbers? The person who don't cut the hair, the person who own the cut hair. Why? Because if you a barber, you limit it to the amount of heads you can cut. But if you create that out, now all the barbers depend on that out, and all the people who need that barber depend on that out. So you can be $1 million barber, but the person who owned the cut out or the busky out, they're a billionaire. Why? Because they adding more value. Even going back to pimp game, and I lead is not glorifying pimping or anything in any shape, form, or fashion, but you got a dude like off, what's that whoop that Trace that movie Hustling 4, right? Yeah. He taking girls, going to motels in the back of the car, right? Then you may go to Vegas, it may be a madam, and the madam may have a flock of women, right? 10, 20. Then you get the cat who created OnlyFans. He ain't touching a woman. He created a platform that allowed the tricks to spend the money and allow the people to pimp themselves. Who's making the most money between all of them?
And it's legal.
And it's legal. Yeah. That goes back to like that thing. So he's at the Mr. Star. He was at the top of his level in football. So he added value that way. So that led me on this whole thing to where like, Rashad, the person you are now, bro, if you want to learn to add more value, you're not reading enough, right? You're not, your habits are not aligned with a person who wants to add real value, right? And that took me on this whole thing of starting businesses, failing, learning, and ultimately, that's how I got to there. So the last question I want to leave everybody with is, and even myself, all of us kind of answer these questions in regard to, hey, there was something ultimately that I wanted that made me change my behavior or my thought process, right? And what we wanted necessarily was like a material thing, which is nothing wrong with that. That's a great indicator of like wanting to change oneself. But at what point in you guys' life did the growth and development in you guys' lives, what wasn't necessarily about outward, materialistic achievement? It was more sort of about like, hey, me as an individual, regardless if I get a house, regardless if I get a car, some jewelry, these habits or this lifestyle is so essential that I would do it even if I get nothing from it. Do you guys feel like you've made it to that point? Or do you guys feel like, hey, you're at that point now? And if you are, what led to that shift?
So I know like one thing for me, like, I really got into reading like, when I was trying to figure out what I need to do with myself or like for myself or whatnot. So when I started possessing this knowledge and applying myself, and I was like, man, I got myself in school, then I had to make one of the hardest decisions ever, bro, because I had my own apartment that I got for my first time, a good job. I had to walk away from all of that to like go after this dream I had. And then so moving to Birmingham, leaving all that behind, my friends back home was like, man, you did that for real. One day I woke up and was just like, I can't believe I just, walked away from all that, starting over. My mom, I ain't never stayed with my mom before, but she just moved back from Indiana. She stayed in Indiana for 10 years. So she was in Birmingham already. Calling her like, Mom, I'm finna get in school. You mind if I, crash your place until I finish school? And she was with it. And so from there, I was able for the first time able to like focus on myself because I was working since I was like 16, 17.
Wow.
I started like, getting up in the morning and eating and having time to read, get to school, right? And I started noticing I was like the first person there, if not the only student there, like the first 30 minutes to an hour. Okay. Then when people came, they're like, man, how you get up so early? How you, so then I was like, I think that I really need to just work on like, working harder than everyone else. Cause I see something, I'm noticing something, I don't know what it is.
A separation.
Yeah. And then, just, being glorified about it for my friends. You get what I'm saying? They're saying like, bro, I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? You walked away from everything you had to like, you took some steps back to move forward. And, it took some bravery to do that, some courage. And so from then I was like, okay, what else can I do that can improve myself? I stopped smoking and drinking. I started thinking about like the diet and things like that, because I noticed one thing about food. You have a gut brain kind of connection, because like the digestion system, it works. It's designed to break down food and into a liquid. That liquid runs through your body and it releases chemicals. Those chemicals kind of like have different reactions that controls that kind of stables your emotional system. So like when you eat bad or eating like fried food all the time, you ain't got the energy to get up. Get what I'm saying? Or you don't have these clear thoughts. Like it was hard for me to like kind of remember what I just read. But when I started eating better, working out, I'm like, dang, I remember everything I read last night. Started taking tests, acing them now.
You operating at a high level.
So that's when it kind of clicked for me. Like, man, this need to be a lifestyle. Like I need to be working out, eating right, get off the drugs. And if this is what I want to do, I need to take it serious.
You found out that this works.
This works.
Perfect.
I think for me, I met a guy. I used to work at Just Way Bank, suit clothing store. And, at Just Way Bank, you have custom suits, right? So it was a guy named Mark Hanna. I'll never forget. We built a relationship in the store at Just Way Bank. But every time he used to come in, he was so detailed about the peak lapel, the where his pants hit,
all
the cook, everything. He was so detailed, bro, to the point I'm like, here he go. He better come here. I'm watching him walk through like, here he go.
Gonna go to the band, no, right back.
Gonna be a bad day.
Yeah.
Hey, Jacob,
tough day. Yeah.
But one day he was like, Key, what you doing with your life? I'm like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And he was like, well, let me show you something. So it was so crazy, bro. He pulled out his phone and guess what he showed me? He showed me $1 million in his checking account. I seen it. Like that's the first time I seen that much money in a checking account. And it changed how, cause one day he heard me kind of, putting some of his name to my boss LD. I was like, man, he always doing the most, bro. Like get him out the store. Like he need to go and go. But he was like, this is why I do the most, because I can do the most. And he's like, he low key like flexed on me. And I'll never forget how I felt in that moment. It wasn't hate. It was just like, a salute, cause I'm in here working, clocking in, sweating, get mad at you for being detailed about your clothes, but you way past me. And he went to prison for a little minute, came back out and still went past people. But it was just that one moment that made me realize, like, you know what? I got to look up what I need to do for myself. It's not on what he did, but seeing that $1 million in his checking account, it kind of it shook me, because it's like, oh, this is real. Yeah. Black man, like he really showed me.
I really appreciate that, man. For me to wrap it up, man, I think for me, it was really just a sense of, I hate to say this, because my father used this word. So the word I'm going to say is fear, right? My pops called fear false evidence appearing real. But I think, when you come from a certain environment or a certain level of life, and once you find a way to maneuver through that, right? If you were once 300 pounds and you get down to 180 pounds, now that you know what that feels like, you not only don't want to go back there because you look better, you fear the actual, side effects and the things that resulted living a 300 or 600 pound life, right? I think if you come from poverty and you remember having to, be extremely thrifty with the amount of money and not being able to decide the type of foods you would like to eat, or being able to eat fresh produce at Whole Foods or go to Aldi's versus having to go to, a gas station. And people go to gas stations for milk and they eat ramen noodles every day like it's steak. They get the shrimp, they get the beef whole time. You eating horrible chemicals. So I think for me, I didn't grow up like extremely in poverty, but I think growing up in a certain environment, sometimes you get played with a certain mindset. And as as young black males, the mindset can ultimately lead us to making horrible decisions. They can allow other people to have control of our lives for the rest of our lives, right? And it was at a point in my life, regardless of me having a great family, I was in a horrible environment regarding people with negative mindsets at young ages. Literally every friend that I've had from middle school to high school, all but one is inside prison, you know what I'm saying? And the other ones are dead. So for me, I fear, or to some point, still fear resorting back to a certain mindset that really won't be advantageous to my family, nor to, me or to society. So in order to, stay a valuable person in society, in order to stay a valuable person to my family, I believe, going back to what you were saying, bro, which is, the the person I am now, it's a necessity for me in order to live, right? And thrive and not just exist. And I think ultimately when it comes to me and my life, man, I'd rather continue to grow, continue to be a better person for me and myself, for my friends, and stay out of the trenches as much as I can. But with that being said, hey, I hope this episode was great, Grow Family. We're gonna do a better job next time trying to like be longer, because I know you guys feel like it was probably just getting good. But listen, if you guys love this episode, we would love for you guys to follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok at Growthology Pod. And we're out, and we'll catch you guys next week.